Hey there, I'm Ari from the Tech Buyers Guru, and I've got another smart home product demo for you here on the channel today. This time around, I'm checking out the Shark RV1001AE Smart Robotic Vacuum. And I do want to thank both Shark and Amazon for sponsoring this video. Now, you may be wondering, well, what's so different about this vacuum from all the other vacuums on the market? Don't they all do the same thing? They all look alike. They're all round with brushes on the front and a bumper, brushes underneath, and wheels. They're basically identical, right? Well, in a word, no. There's a lot of tech underneath the skin here that makes a big difference. And there's also some tech right over here. This is a canister that actually can hold up to 30 days of dust and debris, according to Shark, and it automatically empties out your vacuum after every use. And this is a big deal, as anyone who's used one of these robotic vacuums will tell you. Emptying the canister can be a pretty messy process, and it releases a lot of dust in the air. Having to do that a whole lot less is actually a major perk. Now, the other feature that this has on board is smart navigation. It uses an array of sensors plus a camera on top to map out your room to avoid obstacles and trace as straight a path as possible across your room. Not only is that more efficient than using a random navigation method like a lot of less expensive vacuums, it can also be more pleasing in the end, because when you walk into the room and see those straight paths of the vacuum's wheels and brushes, you get a sense of the room being clean. As opposed to less expensive vacuums where you see a random path of crisscrossing tracks that just gives you a sense of disarray, like, is this really clean? Does my room look neat to me? So that's one of the advantages of smart navigation from my point of view. And of course, it's a lot more efficient and faster as well. Now, I will be comparing this to one of the most popular vacuums on the market and its direct competitor, the Roomba i3 Plus. Comes in around the same price and has the same main feature set, including the canister and the smart navigation. So we'll see how the two compare. And I will also be comparing it to a few other vacuums that I have on hand, including one of the original Shark robotic vacuums that I showcased many years ago on the channel that uses one of the more traditional navigation methods. So without further ado, let's take a closer look at what this has on board, and then I'll give you some demos. As I've already discussed, the latest Shark looks a lot like other Shark vacuums and other competing vacuums, being round in shape and having a simple interface on top with just a clean and dock button plus a battery indicator. On the bottom, you see two large tires that extend out of the chassis to help the vacuum get over obstacles. You also have the guide wheel in the front plus two rotating brushes, and then the main brush in the middle that has a yellow deflector which prevents long hair from wrapping around the roller, a common problem. The dustbin itself is actually quite small, as you'll see here, and that's partly because so much of the space is taken up by the ducting for the self-emptying feature. So you'll definitely need that dock nearby. Here you can see that port where all the dust is pulled out of the vacuum and into the base. So while the vacuum itself can't hold much dust, the bin can. Here you can see how easy it is to remove from the base and empty. Of course, you'll want to have this right over a garbage can, because once you pop that latch, everything will just tumble out. You can see how much space it has inside for dust and debris. Of course, it does mean that you can't hide this underneath a cabinet or bed. I have a few other concerns about this design as well. First of all, Shark warns you that it really works better on hardwood floors than carpet. Second of all, as I mentioned, the bin is very, very small, so you really do need that dock nearby. I don't think this could hold much more debris than you'd pick up from a single room versus the much larger bin in an older Shark vacuum that I show here. Furthermore, Shark puts not one, not two, but 3 stickers in the base telling you that you have to clean those filters every month or it won't work properly. And there's actually more than one filter. There's the main filter here, plus a side intake filter. So we're talking quite a bit of additional maintenance. Essentially, you have 2 vacuums in one here, the main robotic vacuum and then the base vacuum, and you do have to take care of both. Of course, there are also filters in the device itself. All right, time to put this new system to the test. The first feature I will be demonstrating for you is the smart navigation system. There are a few things you need to keep in mind about the smart navigation system. Number one, it does start from the base. The base is its home base and it needs to stay in the same place every time, and you do need to start the vacuum from the base. So if you say put it in the middle of the room and start up your vacuum, it will not know which map to use. It will essentially be lost and use more of a random set of pathfinding methods. Second of all, it does go back and forth, but it will take some time to learn the map. So in your first cleaning routine, you may find that it has not cleaned your entire room. This is not a flaw. It is part of the learning system. Third of all, you do need to keep your base in one place. So if you wanted to start creating a map, do find a place in your room or in your home where you are comfortable leaving that base, because the base really does serve as its home base as well as its vacuum center. As you can see here, you actually see the debris being pulled up through that window. You can see it flying up. That base is a very important element of the entire design, and of course it needs to be accessible for you to empty it out. Now I'm actually going to compare it to a very different Shark vacuum here. This is one of the first vacuums that Shark released, and it uses a random pathfinding method. So this is not a smart navigation system, and it works in the sense that it will clean your room, but it's not pretty in the sense that it leaves a crisscross pattern on your carpet, and it takes a long time because it does tend to repeat some areas as it randomly makes its way across your room. So you could see after an hour of doing this, you will have a huge array of paths across your carpet. Now this is another competing model that I have tested on the channel. This comes from Samsung, and while it does have smart navigation that is pretty on par with what Shark uses, this model was a lot more expensive when it was released, and I also had a major issue with it. While it left very neat lines across my carpet, I found that in the end, it hadn't actually picked up that much debris, and that's partly because it has a very bad dustbin design, which I'll show you here. While it looks pretty neat, the design is flawed because dust gets trapped in the main suction system here and doesn't go into the dustbin itself. So most of the dust would just get in the main system there and clog up the vacuum, and you would pick up very little dust after an hour of cleaning. Now, as I showed you earlier, the Shark has a very small onboard dustbin because so much of it is taken by the ducting for the self-emptying feature, but luckily the base's dustbin is huge. Here's 1 hour's worth of dust. There's plenty more space in there. Now, another issue with typical vacuums like this older Shark I'm showing here is that it can fall prey to robot traps like a dining room table. It could spend half an hour under here trying to get out, and it's very frustrating to the point of not really being worth using a robot with a traditional navigation system under a dining room table. Now here I posed a similar challenge to the new Shark with its smart navigation, and I found it was much more effective because it intelligently finds its way out of this trap. Rather than randomly bouncing from edge to edge, it methodically makes its way out from under the table and chair, while also doing a great job cleaning in the process, getting into every nook and cranny it can fit into so that it gives you the best cleaning coverage. Now this overview would not be complete without a comparison to its main rival from iRobot, the Roomba i3 Plus. This comes in around the same price, has a very similar feature set including smart navigation, which you can see on display here. Unfortunately, I found that occasionally it would kind of make early turns and not really get across the room as much as I thought it should, and also kind of go in different directions that were a little bit surprising to me, like it does here. Now, it does have a self-emptying feature like the Shark, and one thing I liked about the Roomba version is that it can go forward into its base and clean, whereas the Shark version needs to back into its base, and it doesn't have its sensors on the back, so it took a lot longer to line up. The Roomba version scoots right into that base very quickly and empties out, as you can hear. Now, overall, I still really like this Shark model. You're getting a lot of features for the price, and I've never found a robot vacuum that does a better job cleaning, and that means actually picking up dust and debris from your floors. That is what it needs to do to pass the test, and Shark's vacuums are excellent at this. You won't believe how much dust it can pull off of your floors. And with this new smart navigation system, you also get great coverage, and it takes a lot less time to make its way across your room. So overall, I'm really pleased with this. It's amazing how far Shark has come in just a few short years since it entered the robot market, and I'm very excited to see where it goes next. If you have any questions, post them down below. If you enjoyed this video, please give me a like and subscribe, and I will catch you next time.